I've done some quick montage experiments of metal-ish songs down an octave in a series I call Riff Twists, but I realized I haven't actually done a true comparison one after the other to hear how the feel may or may not have actually changed from the original. Yep, we're here to give data to that decades-old question of whether or not down-tuning a couple of steps, and more extremely a whole octave, actually makes you sound heavier or more aggressive. The history may have started with just down-tuning to a now common drop D, but has expanded into using extended range guitars that go lower than a bass even. So I grabbed some sweet metal drop D riffs to play on both your normal-looking Les Paul and down an octave on my now Headless 9-string, which is a whole nother story you may want to check out in the description. Ironically, I've somehow managed to avoid drop D down an octave despite the many classic riffs. So here in the Versus series seems like a great spot to just compare to the other things I've done as well. This is coming from Said Too Much. So what do y'all think? Was down an octave heavier? Or maybe just too low and not as full sounding? I actually took some liberties with the down an octave bass part, jumping up in unison with the 9-string guitars sometimes, which may warrant a re-listen if you want to go ahead and try and spot where I did it for yourself. In the riff twists, I recorded the bass parts entirely one way or the other for the sake of simplicity, but adding to the Versus series, I figured we could highlight some of the things we've learned work best, which is mostly dependent on the length of the notes that we have to play. There are some Versus videos that have actually made this direct comparison between bass playing octave and unison. You may want to also check out that I'll link down below, so you can draw your own conclusions and ideas. It's always super fun to whip out that super low Kalium Quake to play in mostly both bass and below human hearing subcontrabass registers. A whole octave may be a little bit too extreme, and only really prove that down-tuning heaviness advantage has a place where it stops. But some of the fun of extended range guitars is that you could actually jump back to the original drop D register, and I'm sure you're gonna see more ideas and redesigns added to this 9-string monstrosity again. But now though, enough said. For early video access, raw instrument tracks, and more exclusives, find our community on Patreon and consider adding your support.
Said too much.